Well, great. Well, I want to jump in and say thank you to our listeners today. We're always excited, my colleague Susie Fox and myself, to host this episode in hopes that we help make uncomfortable conversations more comfortable. Our guest today is a very special guest, 𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, who is the owner of CFS Medical Supplies and Equipment out of Torrance, California, is joining us today. And she has been a Seni customer for quite a while now. Tara, without further ado, do you want to help kick things off, so to speak, by maybe introducing yourself and your passion and background and how we came to cross paths?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, good morning, everyone. I am 𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, the co-founder of CFS Medical Supplies and Equipment, CFS Solutions, DBS now. And so I've been in the healthcare industry for 3 decades. That's kind of telling my age here, but it's okay. So, and I started out in a skilled nursing facility. And so I've just worked my way up and found myself about 10 years after that into DME and medical supplies. And so from there, I ended up with 𝗬𝗓𝗏𝗄𝗃 Healthcare. I've done some independent work myself. Was with a palliative care in the hospice department with through Kaiser with under 𝗬𝗓𝗏𝗃. And so, and now, of course, we have our own location. And so I started, as a co-founder, I started CFS as a passion for helping people. And it's so funny because ironically, some people say, well, Tara, you know, are you a nonprofit or are you doing here in this business to make profit? Well, I'm a patient advocate first. Okay. So I'm always trying to help the customers, the patients and their families by any means. And that's resources, giving them information. And I tell you that I've tried several products over the years, right? And Seni, oh my God, the stories behind Seni has brought tears to my eyes because it has allowed families to be able to sleep at night, you know, to take their loved one to senior care and pick them up without them being soaking wet. I mean, the stories are endless. Like I can't even express the gratitude. And I am so thankful for Seni because I see families smile. I see them get that joy back, just knowing their family and their loved one is not sitting there, you know, soaked in, you know, in urine and things of that nature. So yes, kudos to Seni. Let me say that. Thank you guys for what you do.
Thank you so much for the kudos. You know, we appreciate it. I'm curious, where you have such a strong background as a patient advocate, I always say with incontinence in general, and I'm curious for your opinion, do you feel like well, let me ask, your store customers, are your store customers more caregivers for people that are caring for loved ones at home that want to stay in their homes longer, or are they more paid caregivers that are maybe tied with home care or healthcare services, or do you have a combination of both demographics coming through your doors?
There's a combination, but what we see most of, I would say probably about 70% is actual caregivers in the home, family members that they're taking care of. A daughter taking care of, you know, the mom or the dad or uncle, you know, it's family taking care of family. And that's what we see most of.
Okay. And the reason I asked is that, you know, I travel to different parts of the country and we find that a lot of home medical supply stores have that same demographic. And I think when you smile talking about Seni, what we have found is, I call it deep in the weeds. If someone has light to moderate incontinence, they might not understand the differences of a really good product that works until what I call deep in the weeds, when you're the one that is getting up at night with your loved one, or you're the one that is trying to reduce that risk of a fall, when you're the one that's deep in the weeds with it. Real quick, incontinence becomes a topic, you know, where you just have to get it out on the table and talk about it.
Yes. I'll give you a few examples. Like, for instance, actually just last week, we had a lady, and she actually, it was a bed situation, and that we were taking care of it for her and things of that nature. And so, I'm out there at the home checking it out. Right. And so I see they had a bunch of products on the wall. And I was like, hey, how are those working for you? And they were like, oh, they're okay, but we changed my dad like 3 times in the night. And I was like, wow, like 3 times? I was like, is that during the day or is that? And I know 3 times during the night, literally they're getting up. And I was like, oh my God. I says, well, I have something that can, just try it. I don't even go into the details a lot about it. I just say, because I don't want to push things on people. I just want them to try it for themselves. And normally we don't have to say anything. I'm just like, here's these samples. Tell me what you think. And let me tell you, she says, hands down, oh my gosh, where can I get more of these? Right. And so sure enough, she ordered 3 cases, and it's not about the order. It's about the relief there. And she has a live-in caregiver for them. That caregiver was like, oh my God, because now she can sleep. The patient can sleep. And there's so many things and variables that go into this that you don't realize until you're actually the one doing it. And of course, even though she has a caregiver in home, but still the family still knows that she's having to get up and do all that. And then you talk about burnout.
Yeah.
The turnover rate of people having to do that, constant changing, you could burn someone out easily. And as a family, if you want someone to stick around, that being a caregiver or even yourself, you just have to find a way to do it. And that's what we strive to make sure that they get the proper product. And then even I'll tell you another story where this family was literally washing a lot. Laundry bill was crazy because of course the patient is using it, and they're just, the clothes, everything, the linen, everything was just wild. And so of course people don't realize that, but when you look at that along with your bill, there's so many different things that go into that, right? And so, but people don't really think about those things because, we're just going and we're just doing our thing. But, oh my God, cut it in half. They were using other products, start using Seni. And my gosh, now laundry bills down, not a lot of, smiles on the face, right?
Yeah.
So those are the stories, and just those, oh my God, there's so many. That's just a few I'll just throw out. But we have so many stories of how people have literally, it's been life-changing for families. It really is.
I love that you bring up the sheets and the laundry because, boy, Terry, you'd be on the other if we have an opening in Torrance and you decide to come on board with Seni. I'm kidding, but yeah, that's what we often educate people about. It's the features of the products lead to better outcomes. So when you mention the laundry, and it's not just the cost of the laundry, but it's also the person doing the laundry.
Yes.
I was at in an event very recently, and we had a doctor doing a presentation, and we had a caregiver that was in the audience at the end of the presentation, and she asked the question, how do I stop from getting mad? Right? Nobody unintentionally gets mad at their loved one. But you can imagine, all of us can imagine, we didn't sign up per se knowing, but we love our loved ones, and therefore you do what you need to do.
Yes.
But no one signs up for that role, and then constantly changing sheets, changing garments, lifting that person. I always say, caregivers, if you're smaller than your spouse or your loved one and you're trying to lift them, we could get into a fall situation. But she asked, how do you prevent yourself from getting mad? And Dr. 𝗲𝗷𝗀, the geriatrician, said, well, number one, you've got to practice what you're going to do, and don't think of your strategies when you're in the moment of being mad. Have some proactive solutions to try, whether it's, do I leave a room for a few minutes? Do I listen to music for a couple of minutes? Do I do something that I can de-escalate myself? And the moment to practice that is going to be when it gets to that point. But it kind of ties in with what you're saying of changing of the sheets and the laundry. And I always think if the products can reduce that or eliminate that, that's a great thing, not just for the person, obviously, that we love, but also the and it may help to keep people living in their homes longer. That's what I always think of too. If
Exactly.
you know, a breathe, there's value there for.
Exactly. And you know, one of the other things too that we hone on it too is like if you're using products, and what I love about Seni too is that gel factor, how it turns into gel. And yeah, we've even, you know, we did demonstrations where we put water on there and it's still dry, and you know, things like that. Because again, it goes back to the skin breakdown as well. So, and so what we kind of ask people, and we were just kind of asking questions. So you have someone going from 8 to 9 times changes in a day. And not only that too, even though sometimes the insurance pays for those things, but they're having to still go out and buy extra after that. And you're like, oh my God, like what can you do? That's cut in half when they use Seni. We've seen this, like it's literally cut in half. Like, I mean, my God, like, so you know, so the skin breakdown you have, if you can't change your loved one immediately, or that caregiver is not changing your loved one immediately, you don't know this, right? Then you start talking about skin breakdown. Now we're on to another issue, because now you're talking about wounds now, right? Yeah. And so all of those things play into it. And you're right, it's really not talked about enough, because it's a conversation that is tough to have. It is, but unfortunately, we have to have it. And so as much information as you guys can put out there, if we can put out there, letting people know and families know, there is other options out there. And honestly, I always tell people, calculate what you're spending, because, you know, sometimes the insurance may not cover depending on where you are, what you have. And I say, you calculate what you're spending, how much you're using, what you're going through daily. That kind of give you an idea to what you're spending for those. And then you use the Senis and see what you're spending. And even if it may be a couple of dollars more, oh my gosh, you're getting back your smile, you're getting back your time, because time is something we just cannot buy back. I'm sorry, we can't, right?
Right.
So yeah, so those are just some great things. And then this is the thing too, not to sell a product. It's all about the service. It's all about giving back, right? The resources and what it does. So yeah, so I'm thankful that you guys had me on today, because I have been like screaming to the top, like, hey, Seni.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I did a video actually the other day giving like showing the Seni products, right? And it was just like a quick little video, really quick. And it's actually on our YouTube channel. And so I you know, it was nothing fancy. It's just, hey, this is what it is, and this is what it does, and just try it. Like, you don't have to say anything, just try those samples. And what's so awesome too, what I love about you guys, like you guys get those samples out, I tell you, and then we ship them all over the United States. And that's another thing too. I always tell people, because, you know, sometimes in this industry, some people may not feel comfortable, because a lot of companies, they are more focused a lot of times on insurance. And so in versus like we have a mixture. But because of my background and Silas and our passion for this, we're not just someone selling products. Right. So it's more about the resources and the patient advocacy and the communities we serve. And that's where we hone in on. And so I always tell people, if you can't get that in your local area, I don't care if you're in Alabama, Texas, wherever you are, you can give us a call, because we drop ship all over the United States. So I just wanted to say that. And we give information first. That's the thing. Education first, and then we can talk about what you need. So
that's wonderful. That's amazing. I'm seeing something that I've watched your son do in the store. Now I know where he gets it from.
What is that, Susie?
and that's asking questions.
Oh yes, of course. You must ask questions. You know, this is the thing. You have to ask people questions, because how do you know what they need? It's not about selling them a product. And I'm sorry, it's just not. It's about finding out what they need and what can help them. We turn down patients and families purchasing products. If it's not a fit, I'm not going to sell it to you. I'm not going to have you, no matter what, if it's a walker, Seni, whatever that is, if it does not fit for you and your loved one, we're not going to sell it to you. And we've lost money behind that sometimes, because it's just not for your loved one. It's not going to help you, you know. And so if it's not going to help, then we just don't do it. And so, yeah, we asked a lot of questions. And I know sometimes people get a little, they're like, oh my God, you're asking so many questions. But let me tell you why I'm asking these questions. I'm asking these questions because we want to make sure that you or your loved one is going to get the best information. You can make a determination. And that way you're not pressured. You go home and you figure it out. You look at it, do your research, and then you come back to us and let us know, oh, I'm so glad. And we get that a lot. When people say, oh my God, thank you for sharing that information. Even if you don't even come back to CFS, that's okay. You got that information you needed, and now you can go make a sound decision for you and your loved one. It matters.
And I think what matters too is you're building trust.
Yes.
More than anything. So that might not be a good fit today, but
yes,
built that trust that they come back and say, okay, I can feel comfortable coming here.
Yes.
So
yeah, and we get a lot of that too. We get a lot of that where they come back and say, oh my God, and it could be months later and they're like, oh my God, I remember you told me this, and we're ready now, or whatever the situation is. So there's never pressure at CFS. There's never pressure. So we look at people as family, and a lot of our customers have become family. And so that's what we call CFS. It's a family affair, right? And so what we do with family, we help one another. We try to figure it out. We don't know everything, but we will do some research for you if we have to, so we can just make sure you get a sound decision made. That's what we do at CFS.
That's super, Tara. Where can people reach you?
They can reach us. There's two ways. They can call us at 310-817-5373, or they can go to our website and they can actually see the Seni on there too, on the site. And that is www.CFS, that's Charlie Frank Sam, medical-equipment.com. And that's how they can reach us. And of course, we have our different social media things that has never really been my forte, but if you go to the website, you can see all of that. The YouTube is on there and things of that nature. We have Facebook and all that. So, but the website kind of gives you an idea on exactly what we do, who we are, and what we have going on. So.
Super. Well, thank you very much for being our guest today. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you, and we appreciate the trust.
Oh, yes. And thank you guys for what you do. Keep it up. And thank you for those Senis. And thanks. I appreciate the introduction of the Senis, because it's been life-changing for families. So thank you guys for what you do.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Susie.
All right. Thank you, Susan. You guys have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.